Mercedes-Benz is about to pull the wraps off one of its most important electric cars yet, and Malaysia is getting an early look. On January 15, 2026, Mercedes-Benz Malaysia will preview the all-new Mercedes-Benz CLA EV, known internally as the C178. While this session stops short of confirming final Malaysia market specifications, global technical details already give us a very clear picture of what this new electric CLA is bringing to the table and why it matters so much for the brand's future. The timing of this preview is significant. Mercedes is positioning the CLA EV not as a niche, high-priced halo model, but as a more normal Mercedes, one designed to bring electric mobility to a wider audience. In other words, this is meant to be the EV that lifts volumes rather than simply showcasing technology. And under the sleek four-door coupe styling, the CLA EV introduces an entirely new platform, new electrical architecture, and some surprisingly ambitious efficiency targets. At the heart of the new CLA EV is Mercedes-Benz's MMA platform, short for Mercedes Modular Architecture. This is the company's next-generation EV-first platform, and one of its biggest highlights is the move to an 800-volt electrical system. This is the same kind of hardware typically associated with premium EVs, focused on fast charging and high efficiency, and it immediately sets the CLA apart from many mainstream electric sedans. Globally, Mercedes has so far detailed two main electric variants. The first is the CLA 250 Plus, which uses a rear-wheel drive layout. This version produces 200 kilowatts, or about 268 horsepower, along with 335 newton-meters of torque. Performance is brisk rather than aggressive, with a claimed 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time of 6.7 seconds. It's quick enough to feel properly modern while still prioritizing efficiency and range. Above that sits the CLA 350 4MATIC. This version adds a second electric motor on the front axle, creating an all-wheel drive setup. The front motor is externally sourced and rated at 80 kilowatts, bringing the combined system output to 260 kilowatts, or roughly 349 horsepower, and 515 newton-meters of torque. As you'd expect, performance improves significantly, with Mercedes claiming a 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time of just 4.9 seconds. This makes the CLA 350 4MATIC a genuinely quick electric sedan, despite its compact footprint. Both versions share the same battery configuration in global specifications. Mercedes is using an 85 kilowatt-hour usable NMC battery, and the efficiency figures tied to this pack are what really grab attention. On the WLTP cycle, the CLA 250 Plus is rated for up to 783 kilometers of range, while the CLA 350 4MATIC is quoted at up to 771 kilometers. Even allowing for real-world conditions and regional differences, these are extremely strong numbers for a car of this size. Part of the reason behind those range claims lies in the CLA's energy consumption figures. Mercedes quotes between 12.2 and 14.1 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers, depending on variant and configuration. On paper, that puts the CLA EV among the most efficient electric cars in its class, and it explains how Mercedes is able to talk about long-distance usability with so much confidence. Charging performance is another major pillar of the CLA EV story. Thanks to the 800-volt architecture, Mercedes says the CLA can support DC fast charging at up to 320 kilowatts. Under ideal conditions, that translates to adding around 325 kilometers of range in just 10 minutes for the CLA 250 Plus, or about 315 kilometers for the CLA 350 4MATIC.
Those are headline-grabbing figures, especially for drivers who regularly rely on public fast chargers. For more typical fast charging scenarios, Mercedes quotes an average charging rate of around 162 kilowatts when charging from 10 to 80%. The car also features automatic battery preconditioning, which prepares the battery before you arrive at a charger to help achieve better and more consistent charging speeds. It's a feature that's becoming increasingly important as EVs move into everyday use rather than occasional novelty. Another interesting technical update is the CLA EV's approach to regenerative braking. Mercedes has introduced a multi-level recuperation control system, which is adjusted through the vehicle's controls rather than traditional steering wheel paddles. According to Mercedes, most everyday braking can be handled through regeneration alone, reducing wear on the physical brakes and improving overall efficiency. This also hints at a smoother, more relaxed driving experience, especially in urban traffic. Inside the cabin, the CLA EV represents a clear step forward in technology and packaging. One of the headline options is the full-width MBUX Superscreen, which stretches across the dashboard and integrates the driver display, central infotainment screen, and passenger display into a single visual element. Mercedes is also leaning more heavily into recycled and sustainable materials, reflecting the car's electric positioning. Practicality has seen subtle but meaningful improvements. Mercedes says there are slight gains in front headroom and legroom, making the CLA more comfortable for daily use. There's also a multi-source heat pump fitted as standard, designed to improve cabin comfort while also helping manage battery temperatures more efficiently, particularly in varying climates. One of the more surprising additions is a front trunk, or frunk. The CLA EV offers a 51-liter frunk, and this applies even to the all-wheel drive variant. For many Mercedes buyers, especially in markets where EVs are still gaining traction, this will be a novelty and a genuinely useful extra storage space for charging cables or small bags. From the outside, Mercedes has deliberately avoided making the CLA EV look radically different from its combustion engine counterparts. Rather than adopting an extreme, futuristic spaceship aesthetic, the design stays close to the familiar CLA silhouette. The differences come through in more modern details, such as an illuminated grille, animated lighting signatures, and cleaner aerodynamic surfacing. It's a strategy clearly aimed at reassuring traditional buyers while still signaling that this is something new. For Malaysia specifically, January 15, 2026 marks only a first viewing. Mercedes-Benz Malaysia has not yet confirmed local specifications, final variant availability, or pricing at this stage. That means key questions remain unanswered, particularly around how much of the overseas headline performance, range, and charging capability will carry over to the Malaysia market car. What is clear, however, is that the new CLA EV is a cornerstone product for Mercedes-Benz. It blends long range, fast charging, modern tech, and familiar styling into a package designed to feel approachable rather than experimental. As Malaysia gets its first preview, the CLA EV signals a future where electric Mercedes models are no longer exceptions, but the new normal.